Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter, of course, at Movies TV Mad, and welcome to Saturday's edition of the Doctor Who Daily. Get up this morning, about 7 o'clock, I'm thinking, right Mick, let's get started early. Let's do the Doctor Who Daily Season 13 trailer reaction and the DCEU Daily. Let's get ahead of ourselves, right? So I do a great Doctor Who Series 13 trailer reaction. I post it, an hour later, the BBC copyright strike me. I'm confused. I'm watching it on that screen, reacting to it via YouTube itself, but they still copyright strike me. I'm not putting an episode of Doctor Who on, a scene of Doctor Who on. I'm not giving away anything, right? I'm not even monetized. So I'm not even making any money out of the fucking trailer reaction. I'm just doing it as a Doctor Who fan for other Doctor Who fans so we can discuss it together. Anyway, welcome to my daily informal Doctor Who little conflab, little chats, you know, where we can just chat and just talk about our passion that is Doctor Who. So, yes, I was very, very impressed with the Series 13 trailer of Doctor Who. I think the thing that really grabbed me from the off was the scope of it. The special effects, the explosions. It does seem like a movie, like Chris Chibnall has already mentioned. And we got some ood in it. We see the Doctor, and yes, falling from the sky, and we see the Doctor falling into some kind of force-fieldy thing. Interesting stuff. I've seen the trailer about 20 times. I tried to ingrain it in my mind, and now everything's just slipped my mind, of course. But I really like the trailer. I think it's a good trailer. It's a good advert. It does what all great trailers do. It makes you think you've seen a lot, but really you've seen nothing, and it gives nothing away about what or who the Flux are. Now, I explained before in previous videos, I think the Flux is an entity that's got all these iconic Doctor Who villains together. As I said, can't believe we got the Ood. We've got Cybermen. We've got the Weeping Angels. Now, I want you to be very, very aware of something, that all these iconic Doctor Who characters you're seeing could be just cameos. This could be a story about new Doctor Who creatures rather than the old ones. So we see them. They're part of the Flux gang, if you want. And of course, we don't actually know who or what the Flux are. It's called Doctor Who Flux. But at this moment in time, Chris Chibnall hasn't really gone into that. And why should he? He wants it to be a surprise. I still think there's some kind of organisation. What their goal is and what they're attempting to do by, you know, bringing all these villains together, I don't know. It does seem like this is going to be travelling through different times and different planets on each of these 6 episodes. So I think we've already seen in this trailer Yaz and the new character, new companion, dressed in kind of period costumes and stuff. So I think they'll be in the past, I think they'll be in the future, and I think they'll be on different planets. So it looks like, are they looking for the Flux and these iconic Doctor Who creatures in these timelines, or are they running away from the Flux and all the other monsters? I don't know, but that could be something they're attempting to do, or try and find answers, because we really don't know what the Flux is and what this one story in these 6 episodes is really attempting to do, or what it's about. It's really difficult to really gauge anything. I mean, this trailer really doesn't tell you anything. We see characters, we see the Doctor, we see, you know, big scope, we see great CGI. We saw the, what is it, the Ratchers? Is it the Raptures? Is that what they're called? Anyway, whatever they're called, right? So we saw these new creatures. They could be anything, by the way. So they look great. As I say, and we saw the Sontarans. We saw a Sontaran on a horse. Wow. And it looks great. The Sontaran looks great. It's more to the design of the 70s. I mean, look, Chris is a big fan. Say what you want about Chris. Chris is a big fan of Classic Who, and he's tried to kind of bring some of that feel back to modern day Doctor Who. And I think that's great. And sometimes he's succeeded and sometimes he's failed. Season 11 had Classic Who vibes. Say what you want about Season 11, but he tried to kind of bring back the style of season 11 and the tone and everything. That's what I felt. The Doctor, the 3 other companions. Unfortunately, we've discussed the flaws in his companions and his Doctor. He didn't do much work on them. But he's clearly a fan of Classic Who, and he's tried to actually please Classic Who fans. Of course, Classic Who fans are not pleased with him because it looks like, seemingly, has broken canon. But I'm not sure that he has, because the Timeless Children story is not concluded yet. What people are asking me on a daily basis is, will they deal with the Timeless Child in the Flux 6-parter? And you know what? I really don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, I've tried to kind of guesstimate this before on previous videos. I don't think they're going to touch on it that much. I think they'll touch on it, but I don't think this is the place where they're going to deal with that. Look, there's 2 options. He can wrap this up quickly, the Timeless Children, in these 6 episodes, and it can be part of what's going on, and then we can move on. Or he really wants to kind of double down on the Timeless Child, not caring about the fan reaction, and deal with it in that trilogy of episodes in 2022 to celebrate the centenary year of the BBC. From what I haven't been told very much, but from what I suspect, it's just a gut feeling. I always suspected this from the moment, the Doctor was in the Matrix and saw the kind of false ghost of Jo Martin's Doctor. And she said, what's changed from what's changed before? It was like they were trying to say, what you found out doesn't matter. You're still the Doctor. You're still you. And when Jo Martin's Doctor says that, I kind of think, well, they've done this and Chibnall's just trying to bury it and move on. That's what it seems like. That's what it seemed like. I don't necessarily think he's going to bury it and not deal with it again. I mean, that would be outrageous, wouldn't it? I mean, imagine if he just moves on from it. I think we're not going to touch on it a great deal. I would be very surprised, and I'll hold my hands up if it happens, if he completely deals and finishes off the Timeless Child. Why? Because it's his arc. It's his story arc, right? I mean, like, in terms of Moffat, he had arcs every season, and he kind of, he kind of answered the Big Bang in his, if I remember rightly, in his final season. But it's interesting when we talk about Chibnall and the kind of breaking the canon and the Timeless Children, and it's very controversial. But wasn't Moffat's era in season 9 very controversial? We started off this really interesting storyline hinting about, we met Davros, we were reunited with Davros in the first 2 episodes, and there was hints about the Doctor being something beyond, asking the question, why did the Doctor run away from Gallifrey? And there was supposed to be this big arc. I can't remember it in detail. And then when we got to the finale, it just kind of crept over it and didn't give us a satisfactory answer. And of course, there's the Hell-Bent Heaven Sent controversy as well. Now, I always get them mixed up. I think, is Heaven Sent the one we like when he's trapped? That's the awesome one. And Hell-Bent's the finale. I don't think any of us, most of us, enjoyed what he did in Hell-Bent, the finale. It seemed such a cop-out. He gave Clara such a great death, only to bring her back to life and make the finale about Clara rather than the Doctor, which is a shame. And Moffat was obsessed with the Doctor forgetting about things, or like the Daleks forgetting the Doctor and the Doctor forgetting Clara. I never liked any of that. We ended up, was it Heaven Sent? You have to correct me if I'm wrong. But it was the episode we all liked, right? One of the best episodes of British television we've ever seen. And certainly one of the best of, the revival of Doctor Who maybe ever. And so we go through that brilliant episode. He breaks through to Gallifrey. You think, why? Right, it's all going to kick off. He's caught up with these bastards, the Time Lords, right? And what happens in the other episode is ridiculous. And there's so many ridiculous things that happen in that episode. I don't know what. I just think Moffat did like to mess with us, the fans. So you can't just say that it's just Chibnall who's controversial, because Moffat used to play with us all the time. But obviously, what Chibnall's done could have long-lasting ramifications. Now, that's something else I'm split on. If the Timeless Child will have long-running ramifications, because I'm not sure. I don't think it can, because it's so hated. But then again, these Doctor Who showrunners, since the revival started, have been allowed to do whatever they want. They've got total creative freedom. And so at the end of the day, this is Chibnall's vision. I don't think he'll finish the story off here in Flux. I think the main element of the Timeless Children will be dealt with in the trilogy in 2022, and there'll be more hints about the Timeless Children and the Timeless Child in Flux, but they won't finish it off. I think they're dealing with another story here, but I think she will discuss this and she will be looking for answers. I think at the beginning of the show, the middle of the show, and maybe near the end of the show, but when they deal with the Timeless Children will be next year. Because there was a great little line, I think, was it Jodie Whittaker talking about Dan Lewis, is it? He's the new companion, played by this comedian, and she was saying she's fascinated with him because he's dealing with certain issues and she's dealing with issues as well. So I like that. There's a good themes. These are the kind of themes that RTD used to play with all the time. I definitely think that this is a Series 13 is a series more suited to Chibnall's strengths. And I don't understand, Chris, why you didn't just do a serialised story for every one of your seasons. It would have made sense. We saw what you did with season 1 of Broadchurch. It really, really worked. You should have done this in season 11 and season 12. That's where the mistake is. But he did what he wanted to do. It's his vision. He was, gratefully put in the position of Doctor Who showrunner. And he did what he wanted to do. It might not be that popular, but he's done it. And so, yeah, I don't think we're going to see the end of the Timeless Child storyline in this series. I do think he's going to have to, how will it end up? Is the Doctor really the Timeless Child? Is he actually going to follow through with this? I don't think he will. But if he does, more power to him. It's not necessarily that I like the idea of everything changing, but I do think the concept of the Timeless Child is interesting in terms of the Doctor being, around before life, before the universe. That's interesting. But it also goes down to making Doctor this God figure, and I'm not sure if I like that. But I don't hate the Timeless Child thing. It's interesting. And if it ends up in a good way, it can take Doctor Who for a very interesting future. And so I'm split whether they're going to finish it or not. And they're going to keep the Doctor as the Timeless Child, because there are ways for Chibnall to creep out of it. The problem is, if he goes back on himself and says, well, she's not the Timeless Child, that's a cop-out. And then you think to yourself, well, why did you do this? It's a bit like what Moffat did with season 9. Why did you take us down this journey just to say, well, it doesn't matter? Because I think if Chibnall does that, I would be more critical of Chibnall going back and saying she's not the Timeless Child, even though I understand Doctor Who fans, outrage over it. But I think once you do something, once you light the blue touch paper, I think you've got to go with it. You started this now, Chris, you've got to finish it off. You said she's the Timeless Child. Whether she is or not, none of us know. But I do have the suspicion she's not the Timeless Child and it's someone else. Still saying, I've said this before in my videos, maybe Yaz to make her relevant, or the Master, or somebody totally different. Look, as I say, it's an interesting concept. It's a concept that's been rejected by most fans. But yeah, I'm very intrigued at the very least, to see how this plays out. But I don't think we're going to see much of it play out in this Flux 6-episode serialised story. It's all very, very interesting because nobody really knows what's going on here. I think we started off after the Timeless Children and the New Year's Day special thinking, not too excited. Then we eventually heard that him and Jodie were leaving, and people kind of said, some people said that was good, some people are genuinely sad, because there are some people, quite a few people, who like Jodie's Doctor and like the Chibnall era. And I respect you. You can like and love whatever you want, and you don't need my permission to do so. We're not that kind of channel to cancel people who don't like what I like, or don't like, or like what I don't like. And I'm not necessarily saying I hate the Chibnall era, or I hate Jodie's Doctor, because I don't. I think sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. It's been inconsistent and it's been very bland for a lot of its existence. That's been my problem with it. But I've always felt pretty relaxed about Series 13. I just felt that Chris would want to go out on a bang, and he's still got next year's 3 episodes as well. And that's how I feel this is looking like. But trailers, advertisements and marketing are one thing. What we see on the show is totally different. I wasn't as excited for Series 12 as I am for Series 13. I think Season 12 excited me. Once they gave us that master reveal in the, in Spyfall, I thought that was an amazing reveal, and it felt like when the master was revealed with John Sim and Derek Jacobi in that first episode of the Season 3. They had a finale story, and they had Season 3, and they had 3 final episodes. I think once that episode when Derek Jacobi was revealed as the Doctor and he regenerates into John Sim, I thought that was fantastic. And that's how I felt when Sacha Dhawan's master was revealed. I thought that was great, because you genuinely didn't see it coming. And it's also great because Chibnall's good at keeping secrets. I'm glad we didn't know who he was. And there was no clue. There was little hints within that episode, but it was fantastic. And the adrenaline got to me just like it did when Sim's master and Jacobi's master was revealed. Great stuff. So Season 12 came alive for me in that very first episode, and I was really excited about the arc because I didn't know how it was going to play out until I did, as we all did, and people had reactions to it. I actually liked The Timeless Children. I loved the music, I loved the scope of it. I liked the Doctor finding out something about herself she didn't know, never guessed. Everything she knows is a lie. I like that. And I think it didn't the ending wasn't underwhelming for me. She finds out she's the Timeless Child. It's a mystery. We don't know what's going to happen next. She ends up in prison at the end of it. I thought it was a pretty cool episode, by the way. I know I'm going to get hate for that, but that's how I feel. And so the Series 13 trailer was epic. We saw a lot of things, but I still have no clue what's going to happen, and that's good. That you don't really want things spoilt before you see them. You don't want so many trailers and so many pieces of marketing. You don't know what's going on. So, yeah, it's an exciting time to be a Doctor Who fan as far as I'm concerned with this series, the trilogy next year, RTD coming back. I think I can see something special happening here. And it's been an interesting era of Chris Chibnall. As I say, most of it for me has been blandness. Not a lot of excitement, and the problem it has been with the Chibnall era, it always makes me think, do you remember when Doctor Who was fun? Especially under Russell T Davies, there was a lot of fun, funny moments. It felt the Doctor was a fun character, like the Doctor's always been. This Doctor isn't really a fun character. There's not much comedy in it. The jokes don't sit when you get jokes. It's not the fun Doctor Who the revival has given us since RTD brought it back. And I hope we can have some fun with it. I hope it's dark as well. I hope that there's a variety of tones in this. But yeah, that's one thing I've always thought about with the Chibnall era. Remember when Doctor Who is fun? Because this hasn't been much fun. And ultimately, I think people are going to be split in two when this whole era finishes. Some will love it, as they already do, and some just will never accept Chris Chibnall as a good Doctor Who showrunner. If I like Flux, if I like next year's trilogy, I will like them. But I will say, do you know what? Because what we want here, rather than the rise of Skywalker, we want Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut. But Batman vs Superman was very controversial, lots of people hated it, but then Zack came back with the Snyder Cut and most people loved it. Now, with The Last Jedi, most people hated it, but then they did The Rise of Skywalker, where people just went, it's crap, why are you bringing Palpatine back? Where this seems to be very similar to the Snyder Cut, where we come from a controversial chapter, but we can really finish off on a high. And I really hope that we do, because I have no hate for actors or producers or showrunners. When they do things I don't like, it's all about taste, isn't it? I give my opinions, but I don't want to take it to a level of hatred unless a showrunner keeps on coming out putting down men on the nonsense you hear today. So, we will find out. Look, I'm in Cyprus, so I can't watch this on the BBC. I can't watch Doctor Who on the BBC. What I usually can do is actually buy the series on Amazon Video after the first episode first airs. So an episode a week will drop after you guys finish watching it, normally on a Monday. So what will happen with Doctor Who Series 13? I will review and react to each episode on each Monday's Doctor Who Daily after they drop for you on a Sunday on the BBC. So I will be covering all of Doctor Who, the future, the past, the present, and just having relaxed, chilled out, easily little Doctor Who conversation. So I hope you're enjoying this Doctor Who Daily show. This has been the Doctor Who Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, please subscribe, I beg. Hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And I'll be back tomorrow with even more Doctor Who Daily. Till then, goodbye.